What up, game devs? Welcome to my third devlog. Today we're going to be talking about pretty printing in GDScript. First, we're going to take a quick look at log itself, which is a utility that I built up while I was working on Dino. And we're going to talk about how logs are hard to read, how colorized logs are better, look at this print rich function, which we're leaning on for all this implementation. We're going to talk about color choice limitations with the print rich function. Then we'll get into some of the features of log itself. If you want to skip straight to the code, this stuff is already available on my GitHub in the add-ons core log directory. I do hope to break this out into a reusable add-on at some point, but for now it's just in my repos. So, log, a GDScript pretty printer. The main benefit of log is that we're colorizing the printed output by type. Another one is an ergonomic method signature. In particular, we're adding spaces automatically between passed arguments. And in dev mode, we're actually getting a call site prefix so you know where your log was called from. A quick look at what you're going to get for log. We've got log.pr and log.prn, which is print and print with a new line. Log.prn is actually very useful for printing dictionaries and arrays because you'll get a new line for each value, and it's a lot easier just to read what's going on. And then there are some variants that include warnings and errors. Reading logs in Godot is tough. If you're printing a lot of things and it's all the same color, it's all sitting in the console, enter the print rich command. This is available in GDScript, and you can easily wrap colors around individual words. We see a Crimson Chin example here. Once I discovered print rich, I was having a ball adding tons of crazy colors all over the place. Unfortunately, those colors don't all work in the terminal or in the browser. And so from Godot's docs, here's the approved color list. It's a little bit plain and not as nice and pretty as it could be, and so I'm debating having some sort of fallback system where you can opt into prettier colors, but for now I've fallen back to just these. So part of log's design is this ergonomic signature. One thing that I've learned from Clojure and don't want to give up is that when you print things, you don't have to add spaces in between them. Every argument here automatically gets a space added in between it. And so these functions are variadic, which means you can pass as many arguments as you want. In this case, up to 7. We can add more if you have to pass 7 more things, but I don't think I've ever used more than 3 or 4. It's really easy to opt back down to an array if you have more things to add. And yeah, we see that this function looks a little bit crazy. One of the cool features in log is that we actually get a call site prefix prepended to every log state. You can see which file or module the log came from. This is only available in dev. This feels sort of macro-y, but because it's not available in production, it's not even close. Log can also be useful for debugging UIs, in case you want to take some data and just jump it into a rich text label and see what it looks like on screen. I use this in my own debug tools all the time. It's also possible to opt into a specific toPretty log. I don't use this a ton, but it is very useful those times you need it, especially when you're printing a thing that is a very large shape. And now time for an implementation. Before we dive in, I just want to call out that this is a static class and not an autoload. This code is pretty ugly at the moment, but I just want to expose all of it anyway. Hold on to your seats. Here we are inside of the log script itself. We can see that it's a static class, just class name log extending an object. We saw this function in this presentation earlier. This is how we build our prefix. Because log prefix is called from our public function, we actually take the second element of the stack here, and then we're just getting the base name for that file. We could probably do some more interesting things here, like get the line number and maybe some other details are interesting. And then here I'm just saying, hey, if it's in test or add-ons, give it some other sort of wrapper. This is just a simple helper for coloring something just a little easier when the code below got kind of messy. Here I've dropped in the colors and tags from the docs that are actually supported. Then we have our toPretty monstrosity. I want to refactor this after I've added some unit tests, but right now we're hanging on for dear life. The gist of it though is come in, figure out what the type of message is, and then based on that, if it's a collection like an array or a dictionary, we're eventually going to call toPretty on each of the children, and then in some cases adding new lines or tabs, and also coloring those objects. If it's a string, we wrap it. In this case pink. If it's a string name, we use orange. We could actually probably add some bold around these two, which would be cool. Node paths also get some special treatment. Vectors get simplified a bit. And then our opt-in cases if you want to overwrite how your object prints. toPrintable is a useful function that I've broken out that might be useful in some other cases. Could probably use a better name here, but well, this was intended to actually return the string that would be printed as opposed to printing to output directly. And then all of our public functions. Bit of a mess in here, but we just want to provide a couple different options. Error versus error, I often forget which one is which, so I just added both. And then I added info and log in case you feel like doing anything, even though these are all pretty much the exact same function. And you might want to dry this up a bit, but just be careful about where you call get stack from, because it needs to be called from the correct place based on the current implementation. So that is the current state of log. In the future, I'd like to add line numbers to the prefix, add some unit tests to the code itself, and break it out into an add-on so anybody can jump in and use it. This is a little tricky because I'm not sure what the right size of an add-on is. I don't want to add more overhead for just one file. I think I'd rather put together a bundle of useful utilities. I'm still trying to figure out what goes in there, what doesn't go in there. If you have any opinions on this, feel free to leave a comment or ping me on Discord. And thanks for watching. That was my third devlog. I'm happy to have you, and a special shout out to all my patrons. Thank you so much for all your support.